What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to take aim at a question I hear a lot in live feeds. It's a question that keeps just being repeated and repeated, and that is, how do I get out of pop-up jail? But in a broader sense, let's really break down some of these issuer-specific issues. In other words, there are barriers to entries and requirements that you have to do for issuers that are wholly and totally separate from managing your FICO credit score. So while your credit worthiness may be high on a whole, it may not be good enough for the specific issuer that you have in mind, because let's just face it, all of them have their own rules. So I'm gonna let my co-star do her thing, and then we're gonna jump right into it.
Welcome back to my dad's channel. If you're new here, make sure to click that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to share.
So namely, each issuer has something that they're known for that is a barrier to entry, or some sort of process that they're known for, where it's like, in addition to having a great credit score, you also have to satisfy some sort of requirement. Some of the better known ones are the Chase 524 rule, which creates artificial scarcity. So if you don't apply correctly, you get boxed out of Chase cards. Then you have other ones like Barclays Blacklist, which I am a member of, where if you mess up with one of their cards one time ever, they pretty much X you out for life. Then the other one, and one of the most popular ones that people are always trying to get out of, is Amex Pop-Up Jail, where you won't be declined for cards, but what they will decline you for is those juicy sign-up bonuses that we all have come to know and love. And here's the wild thing. They're denying you sign-up bonuses on cards where you can only get the sign-up bonus once. So it's not even like you can churn them. So they're really serious about that. So the one that we have in question here is actually Amex Pop-Up Jail. And essentially, just like I said before, how it works is that at no given time, no known time, all of a sudden, you could get a magic message when you try to apply for an Amex card that says, we will approve you for the card, but unfortunately, quote unquote, you will not be eligible for the sign-up bonus for this card. Do you still want the card? Because Amex, like a lot of other issuers, are actually going with the soft pull method, where you can do a soft pull to see if your application will be accepted before they do a hard pull on your credit report. But then they have a little wiggle room. They can tell you they'll give you the card and no sub. And that has been the bane of existence of all credit card churners and some optimizers that they've been running into. So everybody's looking for the magic key out of pop-up jail. And frankly, unfortunately, I have to be the bearer of bad news and let you know there isn't one. So the first thing you got to ask yourself is, why do these things exist? What is the point of keeping people out when it's basically a money-making enterprise? At least one would think. Well, the simple answer is, it's because this is business. Here's some things that you guys need to understand. Now, here on my channel, I tend to try to get into the nuances of credit and money to give you a better understanding of money. I'm not shooting for catastrophic subscriber numbers or watch hours or whatever, but if I can really affect the way that people think in a common sense fashion about the money that they deal with every day, that really makes me happy. So let's break this down to its least common denominator. Credit card issuers are businesses, period. Let's get into a little accounting speak. The things that you get are credit cards. Who are they a credit to? They are a credit to you, but they are from the issuer, meaning that every credit card that an issuer sends out is a liability that they are taking on. That is not revenue, that is not money coming in, that is potentially money going out as a short-term loan. That's how credit cards work. Charge cards work a little different because there is no pay over time function, or at least there's not supposed to be, because they expect that money back net 30. Within the time that they lend it out, that money comes due. That's how those work. But understand this, credit cards are liability to companies, because in accounting speak, when you credit money, you send it out. When you debit money, you bring it in. But the fact is understand that all of these credit limits that people are getting, the crazy high credit limits that they're going on and on about, if they give 1 million people these credit limits, that is a lot of liability that these card companies have out there. And as a measure of good business, you don't want to put that kind of liability out there without some sort of guarantee of an upside. or else your business is doomed to fail. So then you ask, well, if that's the case and they're a business, what is the best way to defeat this and get what it is that I want out of this business? Because let's just face it, you are a customer, they are a firm, they have products, goods, and services, you have money. So you want to get that exchange, and everybody's trying to get the highest value. I am not going to keep you guys waiting in suspense. The absolute best way to defeat issuer-specific rules is spend. I know it sounds like totally wild that you actually have to spend money, because I know your favorite YouTuber has told you, don't spend any money, or don't spend any more than you would, or, oh, you got to keep your spend low because the only way to, manage credit cards is to keep your spend under control. That is right up to a point. But the fact is you are getting into the short-term credit game. These things are meant to be short-term. That's how come the interest is actually calculated every day, but the bill comes due every single month. These people want their money. So if they put a liability out there to you, you have a card company that has prepaid for benefits, they have prepaid for insurances, they are giving you points, they are giving you a sub, they are giving you all of these things for a card that you're not spending any money on because they make money in a couple of different ways. That being interchange fees. Every time you swipe the card, they get paid. That's it. If it's 1.5%, if it's 3%, whatever. They get paid once you use the card. Regardless of when you pay it off, whether you pay it off, they will always make their money. And they will do so on a great volume, given the amount of people they've issued cards to, except for the people who don't use the cards. In other words, they're not spending on the cards. So also, they will have interest. They will also have annual fees. And if you notice, annual fees are always charged at the beginning, not after the first year. Normally on your first bill, they want that money up front. Now, mind you, it doesn't mean that they're actually making any money per card off the annual fees because they've already prepaid for all the benefits that they're going to give you anyway. So this is why spend is so important. As you spend, as you slide this card, they are looking for that stream of revenue, especially if you are a particularly responsible credit holder who does not pay interest, because that stream of revenue is not always guaranteed depending on who it is that you're dealing with. So to be particularly honest, while you may listen to your favorite talking head tell you that, oh, you know what, my whole thing is I have these credit cards and I limit and I budget and I have all these spreadsheets and I use all these programs and this and that and whatever and yada, 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 and I make all this money telling you how to use credit, but I live on a Spartan ration of 2 crusts of bread and 1 glass of water every day, and that is that. I call bullshit. That's all there is to it. But the fact is that a lot of people are not going to give it to you for real, for real. Here's the thing. I barely make any money off this YouTube thing, and frankly, it was 1% of my total income last year, so I have the freedom to be able to tell you things other than Chase Sapphire Reserve, Hyatt program is the best, go out to the Maldives because that's the only aspirational trip. Oh my God, I hate Capital One. What's another one? Oh, I might cancel insert Amex card here, even though I'm actually going to keep it. And what's in my wallet, and the best 5 cards to do this or that or wash a dog or whatever. Not to disparage anything or anyone, but the fact is I'm giving it to you the way you need it. And that's truthful. Look, folks are spending money. They are spending money. And if they have more disposable funds to account for said spend, look, no one making an extra $500, $750, $1,000 a month in addition to their full-time job is spending less. Or else what's the point of making that extra money? The money's got to go somewhere. Or even somebody full-time making anywhere close to or exceeding 5 figures a month. They're spending money. So again, if you tell me that you're doing all of this and you're living off of $200 a month, I got to call bullshit again. Sorry, no more bad words. I say this in a bunch of my videos. Life happens when you get these cards. If you are getting these cards with the mindset that you are going to avoid spend at all costs, then really and truly, there's no point to get the card. Now, here's a little bit of business philosophy here, all right? And, listen to your godfather. I got you. I'm teaching you a little bit about life here. And that is business is reciprocal. Can it run without being reciprocal? Yes, but good business, lasting business is reciprocal. A great give or take. And once again, do you think that for any reason these multi-billion-dollar corporations per card are going to pay to give you a juicy sign-up bonus, access to their points ecosystem, bag delay insurance, trip delay insurance, cell phone coverage insurance, all the perks, coupons, giveaways that everybody complains that is so, oh my God, inconvenient to use because, no one wants to click twice. You think they're going to do all of that and only settle for you to pay, maybe use their card for $3,000 or $4,000 in the first year and then $100 if they're lucky every year after? That is a failing business model. Once again, all of this revolves around spend. So how do you think that's reciprocal? You are pulling all the value out of the business while giving up nothing in return. They are not getting revenue in. So then a lot of people will do this and have the attitude that they are supposed to extract all the value. The business is not supposed to get any and cannot understand why these internal mechanisms for these card companies are now working against them. Now, moving on, another common reason for these things to come into place is a denial reason that a lot of people see on their credit cards. You're not using enough of your active credit. Look, I get it. Great FICO management is something I will extol on this channel as well. Pay your balances, pay on time, have great utilization, have a good mix of credit, apply for new credit. That is all great, but that is not the be all and end all. You have to use your credit cards because, okay, I get it. You put a balance on, but you pay it before the due date, and this and that, whatever, and that's great. Reporting utilization on a credit card is not the same as carrying a balance. So if you report a balance, go ahead and pay it off, especially if you have the money. That's the point of the grace period. Grace period. You will hear grace period once again when you're talking about paying your credit card bill. And what the grace period is the amount of time between the closing date, which we defined earlier as the time where they report your utilization, and the payment due date. Now, normally they have to give you 21 days by law, but for the most part, you'll see most cards, they'll give you 23, 25 days there. They tend to be gracious with it because either way, no matter how many days it is, that's your grace period, because if you don't hit it by the due date and pay your card off and in full and on time, they're gonna clobber you with fees on this side. You do not get the interest charge, and you show the credit card companies that you're using their cards. It shows that your credit profile has a pulse. It's not dead on arrival. Now, as an aside, these companies, even if you don't report things for your FICO score, look, the new currency is data. Data is the currency of the day. So they know everything that you do, everything that you spend your card on, every time your card is declined, every time your card is accepted, where you're spending it. They can track all of this. And if you think that they are not using every single iota of this data in their quantitative and qualitative analyses and algorithms, you've lost your mind. And it shows. That's how they're going to determine your credit worthiness once you step through the door. And anything with finance is almost always intimately tied to data. Data is the new currency. Thank you. Let me take you on a trip down memory lane, okay? Now, when I was a teenager, I worked at Wendy's. We had to wear gloves whenever we were preparing food. That was a thing. This is 1999, 2000-ish era, okay? So that's 20 plus years ago. We had to wear gloves. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was an internal process. But when you went to Taco Bell at the same time, who just recently started requiring gloves for their workers to make your food, they used to have this stupid little plaque on there that says, "Don't worry, we sanitize our hands." Meanwhile, people are taking their naked booger pickers and they're making your tacos. Everyone seemed to be okay with that. So that was a different internal process. Now, as a customer, in order to get food, you had to be subject to each one of these internal processes. But other than that, common decorum still held sway. You couldn't come in tipping over tables because in both cases, that would get you thrown out of each place. But either way, that's just a little story to outline the fact that while there are common behaviors, there are also internal practices that will affect the quality of the things that you get. And I know some of my older people that watch this channel will remember back when Taco Bell had them, gloveless, making all of your nachos Bel Grande and so on and so forth. But it is what it is. You dealt with it. People dealt with it. And Taco Bell's still in business. And finally, one of the best way to get around these internal measures that really trip us up, especially Amex Pop-Up Jail, is sometimes you just gotta pay. You gotta take that card without the sub. Yes, I know it sucks. Too bad you can't optimize. Too bad you don't get the sub. But if the card, if your spend supports it, then the sub, while it is substantial, shouldn't matter over the life of the card anyway. As an example, with the gold card that everybody's complaining about and whining about because of the benefits that they don't want to use that they're entitled to, understand that if you pray at the altar of TPG, really the spend required to extract the same $250 annual fees worth of value by way of points of getting the gold card is less than $3,300 a month. That's it. Actually, I do believe it's about $31.25, because if you spend $31.25, you'll get enough points, and then they're 2 cents a point, yada, yada, yada. You guys do the math. But the fact is, that's all you need. Anybody who can't spend that in order to get what it is that they need, they don't need to be worried about credits, because they're probably not qualified for the card anyway. The name of the game is these businesses want something, you want something. In good faith, reciprocity is the answer. But I'm not going to hold you guys up any further. Just wanted to talk to you guys about pop-up jail and some of these internal practices and how you really need to think about how you are using these credit vehicles that you are so feverishly and hungrily searching for, especially listening to guys like me. So I hope this has helped you out. I'm going to do my pointy point. Hopefully you look at some of my older videos here where I've actually touched on some of these things. But I mean, if you don't, I hope one of the bigger channels that you actually do watch tells you this, so that way it can penetrate. But without further ado, much respect, salute, and I'll catch you guys later.